the future of money is perhaps the most important policy debate going on in Western civilization. Professor Norloff, as you highlight, there are over 100 countries around the world studying central bank digital currencies. My concern is that of the countries studying it, I'm not aware of a single country that's studying a true distributed ledger system that facilitates permissionless peer-to-peer transactions. It seems like everyone's tripping over themselves to find a way to develop a tool that's the same creepy surveillance state system that China's developing. Centrally managed, centrally controlled, central bank digital currency that creates a monopoly on money, essentially to turn it into a tool for coercion and control more than what money is supposed to be, which is a store of value and an efficient means of exchange. So this is a corruption of the whole concept of money. And that's why I think that the future of money is so important to Western civilization. If we see money turned into this, the principles and values that have built Western civilization are truly threatened. It might not be this government, but some government will eventually use that power the wrong way. And for people that doubt that, just imagine whoever your political rival is having control of the system of money. I've been a little concerned as I watched the debate as to the role for Treasury versus the Federal Reserve. It was a good question by Mr. St. Nicholas. And I just point out that looking at our money, the Secretary of the Treasury's signatures on it, not the Chairman of the Federal Reserve. Looking at our money, it says this note is legal tender for all debts public and private. And cash is actually the only current truly permissionless peer-to-peer transaction system.
The future of money is finally here with us, and we can all agree that the world of finance is one of the most critical factors in the modern civilization of the West. In this video, we can see Warren Davidson share comments on his thoughts about what we should expect for the future of money. Now imagine if we lived in a world where countries would have the transparency and guts to build their CBDCs on a public ledger. As always, welcome back to Money Side, your favorite crypto news channel. If you're new here, welcome to the XRP Army. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of our daily crypto news updates. Moving forward from that, we have an exciting tweet by John Deaton. He shares his thoughts on how he thinks it's embarrassing reading the SEC complaint against staking notes from Amici. They said things like a blogger wrote, a Business Insider reporter said, and every single time except one, they say XRP investors relied on Ripple statements and have no proof to back it up. Aside from that, we've got another interesting tweet from Mr. Fresh Time, and it says, the big case that has roiled the SEC and their very aggressive original approach, if Gary Gensler was going to do all the things he says publicly, would have already done it. Patrick McHenry, future chair of House Financial Services Committee, if Republicans win the House.
The race is on as to whether or not the rules will be written by regulators enforcing their existing rules, or whether they'll be written by folks like Mr. McHenry here and his colleagues in Congress.
My hope that it's Congress that does this, because if Gary Gensler thought he had authorities to go after crypto in the way that he talks, he would have already done it, and they have not. In fact, we're sitting before the word Ripple, which is the big case that is roiled the Securities Exchange Commission and their very aggressive original approach.
In more interesting news today, we have a tweet from Cowboy Crypto that talks about how the liquidity narrative is already being set in the market. If there's no liquidity in the markets are frozen, further leading to the need for bail-ins. Listen in.
Very liquid banks unable to do what they really should be doing to help clients.
Which means you can't provide liquidity in the system at end of quarter, end of year. And so we're going to have choppier markets as a result of regulatory policies that impair your ability to make markets.
Now, as Ripple is on the verge of wrapping up its court battle with the SEC, investors have been wondering if the impending decision will lead to a significant gain for XRP. Since the onset of the lawsuit, the SEC has fixated on the idea that XRP is a security, using the Howey test to back its claim. Under this test, the SEC asserts users invest money into the coin with an expectation of profit derived from the efforts of Ripple Labs. Ripple, on the other hand, asserts that XRP is a currency and nothing more. It doesn't make a distinct promise of gains to buyers. It also outfits XRP with a specific purpose beyond simply rising in value. XRP is meant to underlie the company's cross-border payments system. Attorney Jeremy Hogan shed some light on this situation in a positive way. Listen in.
When you bought XRP, Ripple must have had a legal obligation to do something for you. But think about it. If Ripple decides to drop XRP altogether and use XLM instead for cross-border payments, do you have any legal recourse? No, you don't. There would be nothing you or I could do about it. Ripple has no legal obligation to you, and that, my friends, according to blue sky laws, which interpret the US securities laws, is the sale of an asset and not of a security.
And now, as we wind down on today's video, listen to some thoughts Brad Garlinghouse shared live on CNBC Crypto World about the nature of XRP and more insights on the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. This is an interesting scoop. Listen to the end. I'll leave the link in the description box below if you want to see the full interview.
So you've been in a very high-profile legal battle with the SEC for almost 2 years. Both sides have now asked a federal judge to make a call on whether XRP is indeed a security that falls under the purview of the SEC. My question to you is, why now, and why are you foregoing the right to go through a trial and present more evidence? Why are you so sure that everything is already out there?
So trials are really reserved for like when there's a question of fact. And so juries and judges are like, what are the actual facts? In this case, the facts are pretty clear. The question is about the law. And we think the law is clear. And the law requires, in the statute as written by Congress, the law requires that there's an investment contract. That's step one. Before you even get to the Howey test, which is often talked about, you have to have a contract between two parties. We don't even think we get past that step because an investment contract, if you don't have an investment contract, you certainly don't have a security because there's no agreement, period. If you get to the Howey test, then it's also a question of law. So we think this step of summary judgment is, first of all, the fastest path to resolution. We have been pushing very hard to move this quickly, partly because we think the law is clear and partly because we think the whole industry needs the clarity we're seeking.
You know, the SEC has made the case in its motion that that there can be an investment contract without a contract, any rights granted to the purchaser and without any obligations to the issuer. What do you say to that?
In order to have a contract, you have two parties. No matter how the SEC wants to spin the facts, the reality is to have a contract, you have two parties have to agree on something. You don't have to necessarily have it written. You can have oral contracts, you can have implicit contracts, but you have to have two parties. The reality is there are not two parties. Ripple doesn't know who bought the XRP. The people who bought the XRP don't necessarily know Ripple. You have to remember that 99.9% of XRP trading has nothing to do with Ripple, the company. So when you talk about, okay, XRP is a security, I go back to something I said years ago when this started, a security of what company, of what, like, who is the owner? So I think it's very clear there is no investment contract. If you get past the investment contract, which I think is hard, across the Howey test, you also don't have, you have to meet all three prongs. And in the case of the XRP case, you can't meet all three prongs for sure. And so we think that the judge will see that the law is very clear. We think the facts are very clear. And we think this is just a gross overreach of the SEC trying to wrest control of that uncertainty that has existed. And really the unfortunate thing is the SEC and really the US government hasn't taken this step to provide that clarity that a lot of other countries around the world have.
As the anticipation of the XRP price surge builds, whales continue to heavily accumulate large sums of XRP. We have seen nearly 190 million XRP shifts in the market. Are your XRP bags full as we prepare to launch? Don't be left behind. As always, do your own research and always trade safely, guys. Please keep in mind we're not a licensed financial advisor. All videos on this channel are intended for entertainment purposes only. You can always let us know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have a conversation. Thank you so very much for watching. Don't forget to like this video and please click on that subscribe button below and turn on notifications so you get informed whenever we post our amazing content. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next Money Side.